Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night to each and every one. This is another mathematics recording, paper one question. So I definitely will be working on numbers 1 to 10. Of course, you all could also practice along, or if you think you know how to work the problems, you could work ahead and then check the answers when I'm finished to see whether or not you got the same answers as me. One moment, please. Sorry about that. Okay. So the first one we have here states you have open brackets -3 squared plus -2 squared. I believe I did something similar to this last day. So that's a key. That's their times out. So past paper questions do repeat some more than the others, right? So we need to follow well. I'll go with bed mass. Again, some people say bud mass, which could work as well, or any of the others, right? So we have B as for brackets. So anything that's in brackets has to be worked first. Now, since it's only one number in each bracket, then we have no choice but to work on the powers. Yes, so working on the powers, we go with the first one here, -3 squared. That could also be written as -3 multiplied by -3. All right, so hopefully you'll remember when you multiply two negatives, a negative by negative gives you a positive, three threes are 9. Now, some people will write the answer like this. That's not bad, but please get into the habit of writing your number without the positive sign, because in maths, once your answer doesn't have a sign in front of it, it is naturally positive. So we got 9 for this part. The addition sign still remains because we're working on the powers first. So the next set of powers will be all right. Now this is paper one. So you cannot use calculators. Even if you're trying to use calculators now, you'll be developing a bad habit for paper one using calculators, because when you are in the exam, you will not be allowed to use the calculator. So it's best to get this accustomed now and work them manually. So again, -2 squared is -2 multiplied by -2. And a minus by minus will give you a plus. 2 twos are 4. Again, when your answer is positive, you just could write the number without the positive sign. So we end up with 4 here. So practically, we have to add 4 to 9, which will give us positive 13. Now, some people have seen this happen already. Will get the number 13, but their sign has been negative. So you see, they have the negative 13 for option A, and for C, they have 13. So you have to be careful. Make sure you put in the correct signs when you are multiplying here. All right, so moving on to number 2. What percentage of 40 is it? I think we had one similar to that last day as well. So what percentage of 40 is 8? Practically what they are asking you is that okay. So what they're asking is a number. I'm putting it as question mark. Some people put X over 100, because when you deal with percentage is always out of 100. Multiply by 40 will give you 8. Anytime you see is 8, 8 is means that's the answer, right? So a fraction of 40 will give you 8. Now, we know 40 could be written over 1 as a fraction. I could also change the question mark to an X. Because in maths, when you don't know something, you can use the letter X to represent what is unknown. So X over 100 multiplied by 40 over 1 equals 8. So here we have to transpose, because we need to get the X by itself in order to find the percentage that they're asking us for. So we could do a couple things, but what I would move first is the 40, or which is also 40 over 1, right? How do I move that? Well, we're using bed mass, but using reverse bed mass. So when you transpose it, meaning you have to move around stuff to find the unknown, you do reverse bed mass, right? Now the reason why I'm not doing this is shortcut way, because if I do it shortcut, I mean some people will cram it. I remember how to do the shortcut way, but it's good to know how to do it the proper way. Right. So I'm gonna move the 40. So in this case, I could actually remove the 1 so it becomes easier. I'm just moving the 40 there. How do we move the 40? Well, in fact, we had nothing being subtracted, nothing being added. So you move anything that's being multiplied, right? So what is being multiplied to the x over 140? How do you move the 40? Do the opposite of multiplication, which is to divide. So you can divide here by 40, divide here by 40. Now, some people say, well, isn't that in a fraction form? Fraction is also divisions, you know. Now, there's a different way you could have written this if it is you don't like how this looking, or if you think it's not very clear. Another way you could do it is you write over the equation and multiply by 40, like this. Not multiply, divide by 40 on both sides. Divide by 40 here, and then you divide by 40 here. So some people may think it's easier this way. Whichever way is easier for you, go right ahead. So if you take the same working column I'm using, here's my working column. If you say 40 divided by 40, this 40 really means 40 over 1. Any whole number always has a denominator of 1. So both 40s will have a denominator of 1. When you are dividing fractions, so since I changed them to fractions, the whole numbers to fractions over 1, you have to multiply or change the division sign to multiply, flip the second fraction, it becomes 1 over 40. Then you say 40 into 40 is 1, 40 into 40 is 1. 1 by 1 is equal to 1. And 1 by 1 is equal to 1. 1 over 1 is equal to 1. So this would have cancelled off because we got 1. If you say x by 1, you still get x. It's just like if you said 9 ones are 9. So anything multiplied by 1, it doesn't change the value, so you don't have to write the 1. Therefore, we are left with x over 100 on this side, right? The next side, we have, well, a divided by 40. You'll get a decimal with that. Okay, so if you want to know how to actually divide that, you have to put the 8 first. Some people think, oh, 40 is bigger. Let me put the 40 under the divisions. I know. You have to put the number that's written first under the division side if you're going with the long division. All right, so we can say 14 to 8, or 8 divided by 40 is 0, 0 by 40 is 0. So when you subtract, it still remains 8. Now, there's nothing here to bring down. So what you could do, you could add a 0 to 8. But if you add a 0 to 8, you have to add a 0 here. So this way is definitely going to be a little bit more complicated. So what we could do is do it the other way around, right? The easier way. I think it's the easier way. Where you put the 8 on top like this, and the 40 below, and then you find two factors that can divide into both numbers without a remainder. I know 8 is going to 45, right? Because 8 5s are 40. So 8 can go into itself and 40, so you can divide here by 8 and divide here by 8. Because if you divide on the numerator by one number, the denominator has to be divided by the same exact number. 8 divided by 8 is 1. 40 divided by 8 is 5, because 8 5s are 40. So we get 1/5 here, right? 1/5. So we almost done, but we're not done yet. Okay, this one taking longer than I thought, boy. Anyways, so we still need to find x. We need to move the 100, right? the x is being divided by the 100. So to remove the 100, you have to do the opposite of division, which is to multiply. So you write back the x over 100. I multiply here by 100. And since I'm transposing here to get x by itself by the multiplying by 100 on that side of the equation, I put back the 1/5 on the other side. I have to make sure to also multiply on the other side of the equation by 100. So 100 to 100 will be 1, right? So we are left with x. X by 1 is x, right? It's equal to, and then you work out this. Now, a lot of people know 1/5 is 20%. But if you don't know, you can work it out. 5 into 5, 1. 5 into 10, I'm taking the 1 and the first 0. 5 into 10 is 2 because 2 5s are 10. And then 5 into this lone 0 is 0. And 1 by 20 is 20. So it's going to be 20%, right? I'll put it here. So the answer is B. I tell you, that was so long. So let me go down again. Now, there are different ways to do these stuff. But again, it's really based on which method you prefer. I may not have the time right now to do them in different ways. So I try to do it in a way that I believe it's would be a bit more clearer. And I try not to do it the shortcut way as well. Unless people know the shortcut by now, everybody would not know the shortcuts. I try to use a longer way until possibly you can do it faster. Now, if I had the pen device stuff with the tablet, I will be able to write it faster. Okay, so we have 235 multiplied by 48.7 equal to 11,444.5. So they're saying 23.5 multiplied by 0.487. So look at the numbers, right? This is a number that's in the hundreds, in the 200s to be more specific. This is 23.5. So it's the same numbers, but the decimal is here. Anytime you don't see a decimal in the number, it's always to the end of the number, which is on the right. When you see the decimal, well, then you know exactly where the decimal is. This number is 40.7. This one still have the 487, but the decimals in front of the 4. So it means that when you multiply these two numbers, this by this, you will get 11,445, but it's where the decimal point is going to be. That's the tricky part. So how do you know which part the decimal point is going to be? Usually when you multiply decimals, you count how much places each of the numbers have. You usually start from the end of the number. So this one has 1, 2, 3 decimal place. So you can put 3 dp if you want TP. And the other one has 1 decimal place, right? 1 decimal place. So you add up the total amount of decimal place. 1 and 3 is 4. So the answer should have 4 decimal place. So let's say the answer using the numbers 11,445. You start from the end of 5 and you count 4 decimal place. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this will then be the answer, which happens to be A. All right, so moving on to number 3. Again, if you'll need to pause, and sometimes you may even want to go over or I don't want to say it's rewind, but kind of go back a little bit to re-listen the stuff in the recordings as well. Or probably another day during the week or the month, you could review the recording again. Because the more you listen to something, just like a new song that comes out, and if you love that song, you're not going to be able to sing the lyrics by heart the first time you listen to it. You will eventually be able to do so if you continuously listen to that song, or if you want to research the lyrics and you learn the lyrics, right? Similarly with maths and certain things, some things certain persons are able to get it off the bat. Other people it takes a longer while. But anything in terms of learning, repetition is the best way to learn. That's why revising and checking over is important. All right, so using the distributive property. Okay, this look now, this paper making me feel like I did the same paper last week, but it just has similar things, right? Now, look for what they have in common. Common meaning the same. They both have 49, right? So 49 is being multiplied by 17, and then you're adding 49 multiplied by 3. So what they have in common, usually you put it by itself once, and then you open brackets, right? So we know 49 has to be multiplied by 17, so that's the first number you put inside the brackets. Then you put plus. We know 49 also needs to be multiplied by 3. So when you write stuff like this, it means that the number that's outside is directly multiplied with each of the numbers inside the brackets. Now you look to see is the answer options in a form like this. None of them are, so we need to work down this problem until we could we have the answers looking similar to the options, right? So now following bed mass, the B meaning brackets, whatever is in brackets, you work that first, right? So you're going with say B. We have to add two numbers in the brackets. 17 add 3 is 20. You have the 49 there. Now again, if you look at the answer options, you're not seeing 49 open brackets, 20 close brackets. But there's another way you could write this, because the 49 open brackets 20 close brackets means 49 multiplied by 20. It's just a different way of writing a multiplication. So if you choose to change and put the actual multiplication sign, you could remove the brackets. So now, is there any option with 49 by 20? Well, yes, that is number, well, not number, but letter E. So the answer here is E. Number 5, a test was marked out of 80. A boy scored 60% of the marks on the test. How many marks did he score? So the test was marked out of 80. That's the total marks. A boy scored 60% of the marks. How much marks did he score? So 60% is always out of 100. So 60 over 100. Whew, that's 0. What's going on with that? Multiply by 80. Put 80 over 1. So then you work this out. Since all the numbers end in 0, you can divide them by 10. So 10 into 60 is 6, because 6 tens are 60. 10 into 100 is 10. Right, so we still have two numbers ending 10. So we could say 10 into 10 is 1. 10 into 80 is 8. So since the denominators are both 1, we can multiply the numerators. 6 8s are 48. 1 by 1 is 1. So 48 over 1 is a whole number, right? Any whole number has a denominator of 1. So the answer is 48. He got 48 out of 80. Moving on to number 6. Dan sold 40 concert tickets in 5 days. Each day he sold 3 tickets more than the previous day. The number of tickets he sold on the third day is. So they didn't tell us how much tickets he sold on day 1. If he did, it would be easier, right? You just take day 1 and add 3 to find day 2. And then you take the amount sold on day 2 and add 3 again to find day 3 and stuff. So Dan sold 40 tickets in 5 days. So that's the total amount of tickets he sold in 5 days. Each day he sold 3 tickets more than the previous day. So we don't know how much he sold for day 1. So I'm going to put for D1. D1 represents day 1. We put X. So since we do not know how much tickets he sold day 1, we put X. You can put Y, you can put Z. It don't matter what letter you put. But when you don't know something in maths, you put a letter to represent what's unknown until you find that letter. So for day 1, we put in X to represent the amount of tickets sold for day 1. Day 2, they are saying for every day or each day he sold 3 tickets more than the previous day. So if day 1 he sold X tickets, day 2 he will sell x plus 3. And if every day he keeps selling 3 additional tickets more than the previous day 3 he will so sell x plus 6 because he sold an additional 3 again. So 3 and 3 will give you 6. Day 4 he will have sold 23 again. Were all right. The x plus 9. So you keep adding 3. And day 5 he would have sold x plus 12. So since we have algebraic expression to represent the amount of tickets sold, because anytime we have a letter involved, it's algebraic. Now we need to find how much we sell sold for day 1. So of course, what we will do, we will add up all the tickets sold on each day. Right? So we put x, that's the amount of tickets sold on day 1, plus x plus 3 would be the amount of tickets sold on day 2. Again, if you want to work ahead, you could do that. X plus 6 is the amount of tickets sold on day 3. X plus 9 is the amount of tickets sold on day 4. And X plus 12 is the amount of tickets sold on day 5. So just like if you wanted to know how much tickets you sold and you add them up for all 5 days, so we add up all the expressions which represent the amount of tickets sold each day, and we put it equal to 40. Why? Because they said he sold 40 tickets in 5 days. So in order for us to find x, we have to put the sum or find the sum of the amount of tickets sold on each day, and we have to put it equal to 40, because when we add all of this, we must get 40. Right? So we're going to simplify, right? Simplify meaning we work out all the x's. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, sometimes I tell students you could group them together, right? But you can check them like this. So since there are 5 x's and you only see addition signs, you can add the coefficients of the x, right? Each x will have a coefficient of 1. Meaning the number in front of the x really is 1 because there's a single x each time. Right? So you'll be like 1 and 1 is 2, and 1 is 3, and 1 is 4, and 1 is 5. So you'll get 5x. So this is, if you all don't know addition and subtraction of algebraic terms, you might want to learn some of that. Or if you did it already with myself or Miss Amelia, you would want to revise them. Apart from that, we have the numbers. So we have 3 add 6 is 9. 9 add 3, no, not 9 add 3. 9 add 9 is 18. 9 add 12 is 20, 30. So it's 30, right? 9 add, what is 9? Let me say that again because I said the wrong thing. But it's 30. Let's try that again. 3 add 6 is 9. 9 add 9 is 18. And 18 add 12 is 30. And all of this must be equal to 40. Because that's this equation, this here, once you add that, you must get 40. That's why you could set it equal to 40, right? Okay, so now we're going to have to transpose. And when we transpose, then we're using reverse BEDMAS. You see, almost every problem I've been doing so far, I have to keep going back to BEDMAS or BODMAS, right? So when you transpose, then you look for anything that's subtracting first. There's no subtraction sign, so we bypass that. Anything being added, yes, the 30 is being added to 5x, so you remove the 30. How do you remove the 30? Since the sign in front of the 30 is positive, think, how do I bring this number 30 to 0? How do I make it become 0? You do the opposite of the sign addition, which is the subtract. So if you subtract 30 from 30 you get 0. So you always do the opposite of the signs, right? So you put back the plus 30 and you take away 30, not just on one side, but on both sides of the equation. Minus 30. Alright, 10. So 40 take away 30 is 10, 30 take away 30 is 0, so we are left with 5x. We are almost there. We still have to transpose again because the x still not by itself. It's x we're trying to find, and we're trying to find how much tickets were sold on day 1. That's what the x represents. So 5x means, you all need to remember this, 5x means 5 multiplied by x. So in order for you to divorce the 5 from the x, you have to do the opposite of multiplication, which is to divide. So we're going to divide here by 5, and when you're transposing, if you divide one side by 5, you have to divide the other side of the equation by 5 too. So 5 into 5 will give you 1. We are left with x is equal to 5 into 5 is 1, 5 into 10 is 2. 2 over 1 is the same as 2. So that means x is 2. So you know what that means? It means that on day 1, Dan sold 2 tickets. Day 2, he would have sold 2 plus 3, which will give you 5. So now since we know what x is, 2 plus 3, I'm writing some type of thing here. Callaloo. Alright. 2 plus 3 is 5. So they want to know the number of tickets he sold on day 3. So that's 2 plus 6, which will give us 8. So he sold 8 tickets on day 3. Alright, so if you all need to rewatch this or try to attempt it on your own, you could definitely do that. I'm going to move on. Let me take out some of this because it's blocking number 7. Alright. Which of the following sets is defined by, okay, so what does this even mean? We have the curly brackets. X is an element. This E sign means element or a member, or X belongs to set Z such that you start to read from the X now. X, and you read from this side. X is greater than or equal to negative 2. And then you read from this side. X is less than or equal to 4. If you're still not catching it, write it separate. So you're writing it from this side first. So you put X. Since the sign is facing the X side, let's make sure it's facing the X. And put the equal part and put negative 2. So this means that X is greater than or equal to negative 2. And then you have the other part reading from X again to this direction. You write back the X. The peak is facing the X, so you put the peak by the X, the greater than sign equal to, and 4. So this part means X is less than or equal to 4. So what they are asking you is to write this information. They want it on a number line. Since it is, we have from here that X is greater than, means X, the value of X is bigger than or equal, the line underneath the greater than means or equal to, you have to start from negative 2. If they just had X was greater than, you start from negative 1 because negative 1 is bigger than negative 2. If you don't know that, you need to check integers, right? Learn your integers, right? So negative 2, so X is greater than negative or equal to negative 2, so it will include negative 2. Negative 1, you put 0. So in order to know which number to stop by, you look at the next side. X is less than or equal to 4. So we stop by 4 since it have the or equal part. If it just had less than, we stop by 3. So 1, 2, 3, we stop by 4. So any answer that have negative 1 to 4 is going to be the answer, which happens to be D. Moving on to number 8. If Q equals to A, B, C, how many subsets can be obtained from the set Q? So I would have given you all the subset formula last day. I should ask you all, you know what you're lucky is a pre-recorded stuff. Like, what's the subset formula? S is equal to what? Revision is the key to remember everything you have learned, right? I'm acting like if you all are actually there, but I know you all are not, okay? So S is equal to 2 to the power of n, where n represents the number of elements or the number of members in the set. So this set has 1, 2, 3 elements or 3 members or 3 letters. Therefore, you put 2 to the power of 3. So since this is what we have, check to see if the answer has anything with 2 to the power of 3. It does. So then D is the answer. D has 2 to the power of 3. Sometimes they may want you to work down the answer further, but that's not always a must, right? You just, as you work multiple choice, check to see what the answer is looking like so you don't waste your time and work it right down or simplify it unless you are required to, right? Number 9. The set of positive integers is an example of. Positive integers start from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I don't even gotta continue. And it keeps going, right? So positive integers are all the positive numbers that exist. So you know you can keep counting to 100, to 1,000, to 1,000,000, and all those numbers positive. Right, so that's an infinite set. An infinite set has no end. Even when you reach 1,000,000,000, you can keep counting. So it's an infinite set. An infinite set is a set that has no end. It will have a beginning, or there will maybe a possible beginning. It doesn't always have must. It don't mean it always have a beginning, but it has no end. A finite set has an end. Like if they told you the set of integers between 1 and 20, you know it will be like between 1 and 20, be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, up to 90, because that's between. That's finite. If it's an empty set has no elements. Usually an empty set, what did I do there? Look something like this. It's an empty set, doesn't have anything. So you see a pair of curly brackets. An empty set is also known as a null set. And an improper set is a set that you cannot identify each of the members in the set specifically. So if you talk about sheep, right, you know, each sheep, you'll just call them sheep. You see sheep, 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 sheep. That's an improper set because you can't just say, look, sheep 1, sheep 2. But if you talk about numbers, you can say this number 1, number 2, number 3. Each number has a specific name to them. But sheep is just like sheep. And the plural of sheep is still sheep. You understand? So it's a proper set is usually when you can identify each of its members specifically. And a proper set is just when practically everything has the same name, like goat, 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 goat. Like set of animals and stuff, those things are in proper set. So the last one for today is going to be number 10. It says if the number n means the number of elements in U, meaning the universal set, equals to 25. So the universal set has 25 members or numbers or elements. They say the number of elements n open brackets A close brackets means the number of elements in set A is 14. N open brackets B close brackets means the number of elements in set B is 15. And N open brackets A intersect B close brackets means the number of elements in A intersect B equals 6. They're saying what is the number of elements in A union B? Now, to make this make sense, it's good to draw a diagram, right? So you can draw the sets. Since it have this sign, the intersected, like an upside down U, it means that A and B will be connected like this. So we could call this set A, we call this one set B. The universal set is usually represented in a Venn diagram, which is a rectangular shape. Usually the U is above here. So they're saying universal set. Everything inside this rectangular shape diagram is going to add up to 25, right? So they're saying the number of elements in set A is 14. So we practically say 14 take away 6, because they're giving us all the persons who are in A, but it has an intersection. So the number of elements in A will include the intersection usually. The intersection is this little piece, so I have the 6 here, right? So you have to take away that 6 from the number of elements in B2. So B has 15, but you have to take away the 6. Because if you don't take away 6, you'll be adding 6 3 times, and you don't want to be adding the same elements over and over. We'll say, what is the number of, so in other words, if you were to say 14 add 15, and you get 29, but the number of elements in all has to add up to 25. It can't be more. So that alone tells you that the 14 includes the person, because what this number means, this means that, let's say A represents apple, people who eat apples, and B represents people who eat bananas. The 6, where you have A intersect B, it means 6 people eat both apple and bananas, and that will be included. These 6 people who eat both bananas, bananas as well as apple, is already added to this 14, so you have to take it away. And these 6 people who eat bananas together with, along with, or let's say, and also apples, is included in this 15. So you have to subtract it, because those numbers usually represent those who eat apple only and those who eat apple and banana, which is the 6. So you have to subtract them both sides. So it really means 8 persons eat apple only. I'm just assuming it's apple. And 9 people eat bananas only. So now when you add these, let me see. 8 add 6 is what? 14. 14 add 9. 14 add 9 is 23, right? Yeah. Yeah, 23. So your answer is 23. Now there's another way that this is done. Some people will do it like this. Let's see. Usually they would say they write it as 14 takeaways. 14 takeaway 6. It's similar because they know that, okay, this set includes those who eat apple only and those who eat apple and bananas, right? And then they'll put 15 minus 6, because they know that 15 includes those who eat bananas and apples as well. So if you have 6 more than once, and then they add the intersection 6, right? But there's something they didn't give us, so working it like this would not have really worked. So how it works it out like this, yeah, you subtract the intersection amount from each set and then you add them. 8 add 6 is 14, 14 add 9 is 23. So they're saying, what is the number of elements for A union B? A union B means all the elements that are A and B together. So that's 8 add 6 and 9, 23. So I hope this is clear. Of course, most of these things are separate topics by themselves, so you may want to do some research on your own, especially those who would be writing in January and stuff. And then, well, those in May, June as well could do the same, right? So that's it for you all today. Do have a blessed evening, night, morning, whatever time you will be looking at this video. Goodbye.